Okay, so there's some issues, some more questions from the House here, and one question is as follows, and I would like my sister Salimota to advise. There have been stories of inappropriate behavior that have been, by some authority figures, whether they're teachers, staff, or students, or whatever, towards other ones. And as we know, it's now part of the national conversation, what's right and what's wrong in the relations, especially across the sexes, in schools and so on. Now, we know the kind of society we live in. We know that there are many kinds of problems. You can't boil the ocean. You can't solve everything at once. But we heard that there were some issues. And without going into too much detail, would like you to tell us what the position of the National Executive Committee, or FEGOCOSA as a whole, is on the issue of misconduct, particularly sexual-related misconduct in the society and in the schools. What's the position of the NEC?
Thank you very much. The truth about it is that this sex-related misconduct is a cankerworm that has eaten so deep into our society and then the world at large. And the NEC has taken a position that is going to launch a new initiative, which is PRESEMY, and that is Preventive Sex-Related Misconduct from Youth Initiative. It means that NEC will continue to do or embark on a due diligence from time to time to make sure that this issue is nipped in the bud. But the question one we'll have to ask is, can you eradicate this in the system? No. But it can be curbed to the barest minimum. But people have to be held account for their consequences. There has to be scapegoats for people to nip this, for us to nip this issue in the bud. So it's an ongoing thing for NEC, and NEC will do all its best to collaborate with the school to make sure that this issue is curbed to the barest minimum.
Mr. President, this PRESEMY initiative is something that we understand is been launched by FEGOCOSA, and it's, from what we understand, it's an enlightenment campaign above all. We are an association, and we're supposed to use what we've learned, as Fatih told us, to help the next generation. And this PRESEMY initiative is meant to enlighten, first and foremost, and then empower, secondly, people in society. Now, let us remember that many problems in this society are what I call gray area problems. And when you look at, especially as a lawyer, you would know, by the time a case has become a case, there are many things that may have happened before then that would have prevented it from reaching the level of being a case. So the initiative is, as she said, preventing sex-related misconduct in the youth, preventing. And as I said, it's a public enlightenment thing. What the PRESEMY initiative is supposed to do is to conduct workshops, seminars, and the like to help people understand.
Create more awareness.
Much more awareness, because you have victims of all sorts of victims, all sorts of problems. Many people who get into this sort of trouble don't realize or don't intend to get in that much trouble, but because they don't know better and because they're not well educated, they misbehave. Or sometimes they may misbehave a little bit, not knowing that it's not being taken as a small thing, it's a big thing. And on the other hand, you have a lot of people who are misguided about values, about how to progress in life. So having said all this, I just want to hear from the President directly, because of some concerns that were raised earlier in the House about this sort of issue. What has been NEC's position, NEC's role for the issue as has been presented to us? Yeah. And going forward with the PRESEMY initiative, where will NEC, or what is NEC going to do?
Okay, first of all, it's a serious issue. I don't think, at no stage, did NEC ever take the issue lightly. We took it very serious. The first time the issue came to us, we heard it was rape. Being a lawyer, I don't take those things lightly. You don't mention rape and you think it's a light subject. It's actually a criminal offense. And so the issue was, we had to investigate, was it actually rape? But then later on, it turned out that it was not rape. It turned out that it was sexual harassment. We're not saying that sexual harassment is not serious. I'm saying as a lawyer, it's not in the same position as rape. So what you would investigate for rape, or what you would try to find out for rape is completely different from what you will find out from sexual harassment, because a lot of people may not even know whether what they think is sexual harassment may not even be sexual harassment. So what we're doing when we say we're going about an enlightenment campaign is that we have talked, well, I've sent out NEC members to talk to a lot of NGOs. We've engaged them. Well, we've also talked with USOSA. So USOSA are very much aware of what we're saying. And USOSA said, look, FGC Kwali, you're a young school. You're not the only people with this kind of allegations. We have even FGGCs, where they're all girls. And we have more allegations coming from them. This is how we deal with them. And so what we've said with USOSA is that, thank you, USOSA, but we also feel that we should do more. Now, we are concerned about FGC Kwali. So most of the programs we're going to FGC Kwali, we have programs for the students. We want to teach them, this is what happens for you to know there's sexual harassment. When it happens, this is what we expect you to do. We don't expect you to tell us this story 1 year later, 2 years later. We're saying when it happens, this is exactly how you should act. And this is exactly who you should be telling. Forget any check that is made to you. This is when you do this, we will step in. We also have programs for the teachers, where we're saying to them, if you don't know that certain actions, certain statements, certain behavior is sexual harassment, let us teach you now that is sexual harassment. So even if you have been doing it in other schools and you have been getting away with it, you have been doing it in the society or in your family, if you do it in FGC Kwali, we will come after you. And that is how serious we're taking it. We know that we have the current students, and we know that we're in modern times, and we have social media, we have a lot of ways we can deal and prove modern things. I also understand that we have old cases. I call them old cases because there are people that have said, look, I was sexually harassed 10 years ago, I was sexually harassed 20 years ago. Again, we're saying we don't take these things lightly. It is, if one person is saying this happened in school, it is very difficult to chase up if it is just one person's evidence. So I'm saying this to all FGC Kwali alumni members. If there are cases you know, if there are situations that has happened in the past, and you know more than one people have experienced this, everybody should be able to talk. If you have 2, 3, 4, 5 cases and they're all linked to one person, it is easier for us to pursue that case. But if we have just one case and we're trying to even wonder, did it happen, did it not happen, is a problem. My final point on this is that the society that we live in today, everybody needs to understand there are procedures that you need to follow. You don't scream rape, you don't scream sexual harassment that happened years back without taking a first step of reporting it formally. A lot of people have said to me, do I need to report it formally? Look, a lot of what has happened after, everybody should note, this is an allegation that was brought to the association in March 2019. A lot of you are aware that in the society today, there have been bigger cases that have come up after March 2019 that has been in the social media. But one thing is constant. If you check, the people have taken formal steps first to report it in the right authorities, and then the authorities have started investigating it before they then come out, and then everybody then decides whether they believe, they don't believe, or they support. The society we live in, there's some people that will believe you. There are also some people that will not believe you. And you'll be shocked, the people that don't believe you, you'll be shocked, the people that even believe the story. So at the end of the day, we're saying, we don't want social media drama. Let's make this issue real. Report it first. We'll then take it up as an association. We'll stand behind you. But I, Cyprian Namba, will not walk up to the authorities and report a case on behalf of somebody where I do not have privy or I do not have first-hand information of that incident myself. It just means I am giving the police or I'm giving the authorities a story. But when we have those cases and more people are coming out, more people are saying this is exactly what happened, that is what we will take back to the authorities so that the authorities will properly investigate. But we are doing everything possible about it. We're not ignoring the voices. We're rolling out initiatives and programs that will be able to deal with this issue.
I'd like to just add that we also within this PRESEMY, which is our umbrella initiative, we have everything that has been said here, and we also want to make a few private systems led by some of our sisters here for indirect counseling, about such things, private counseling for some individuals, so that we have an all-round solution. You see, Nigeria has problems because we keep having half-baked. Maybe you have gari without soup, you have soup without gari.
Yes, yes.
There are many girls who might not have had an incident that is as serious as to be called an offense, but maybe having fears, suspicions, vibes, and they need to speak to someone a bit older privately to be able to air. And that lady can tell, oh, no, don't worry. Or yes, worry. Or take note, give private advice. So that's one of the instruments in part of the PRESEMY Initiative. And as we said, we're working with USOSA, and it's rolling out bit by bit. And in fact, very soon, together with other publications, we'll speak about this.
Correct.
Mr. President, I'd like to round up with certain angles. You and your cabinet, Sariko, have been in position for a few years now, 2-3 years now, and you used to talk before at the beginning about bridging the gap. We understand that your emphasis in your first tenure was bridging this gap between the sets. Now, some people have lost track of where we came from in the year, let me say, 2016, and actually how much progress, because the irony is that people have become used to an active Fegokosa. People have become used to, oh, the PRO, Mr. Joe Pong has said this, the Supreme President has said that, but just about 4 years ago, most people didn't even know that there was something called Fegokosa. So can you please quickly tell us where we have come from, what are the intangibles that have been achieved, and where are we going as a society?
Let's me ask Grace.
Okay, Grace.
And the reason why I'm asking that is I don't want to sound like
praising yourself.
Well, we must not call it praise, assessment, but since we have some neutral people here, Grace, and Grace is one of the best truth tellers. She says like it is.
Okay, so when did they find out about Fegokosa, and what do they think has happened since they found out?
You crown it at the end. Okay, please.
I will then be able to.
Okay, so I'll give you a personal experience. So the first time I found out about Fegokosa, I think I randomly saw it on Facebook, and then I went for one Abuja chapter meeting. I can never forget the experience. And then, a lot of people were talking, and I feel that like, these people are too elderly. Like, they were not in this century, because what they were saying was, hello, this is 2016.
What year though? What year?
That was like 2016.
Okay.
I'm like, hello, we are in 2016, what are people even saying? And then I actually wanted to give my honest opinion that day. And then they just told me, sorry, what's it again? You're too young, please. And then I was like, wow. So is it because I'm young, you think I really don't have sense?
They didn't say that.
No.
That's how you felt.
According to your definition.
Yes. No. She's just saying how she felt. That
was how I felt.
Carry on.
It was more like, because you're young, you graduated when again, like you don't have anything to say, so please just comfortably sit down. And then I told myself, I won't even bother. I will just stay in my house and rest. And then, like Simpran kept doing, I just used to see Simprans, but then this old man said, what was this? Consistency. The key is consistency.
Consistency is key.
Because
I have to quote you on that.
Simpran always kept doing videos. He was always talking. Like, if you open Facebook, you definitely see his face. Even when you don't want to click on the video, you just be like, let's even hear what he's saying. Do you get? So at the point, I was like, he will soon be tired. But then I'm like, oh, this guy is actually not getting tired. So I just said, okay, let me just have an open mind and give it a try.
So what did it lead to now?
And then, to an extent, a lot of my sets have actually accepted Febo, because a lot of my sets come out for set. At least we had Kamal. We had.
You've done Kamal set.
No,
you've done Kamal set.
I think Kamal has a wife in my set, because.
My set. He's now. This is the other side of. You see why Kwali is working? Kamal had a wife in his set.
So I just realized that over the year, sincerely speaking, to me, see why I did a very good job in bridging the gap. Because now I can comfortably count how many ex-students I've known. I can also state how many ex-students have helped me one way or the other, as in career-wise, networking, connecting. Like in the last AGM, I met the husband of Bridal Experience. To think that I was actually pushing to be their social media handler. And then the husband was just sitting beside me.
Look at that.
Do you understand? So this is what Kwali has done. Like, they help you to network and meet people who can actually put you in a better space, career and otherwise. So yes, to an extent.
Fati, what can you say, please? Same question.
Well, she has said it all.
Okay.
Even though my set have always been a very active set.
Oh yes. For mafia.
Yes. We're actually not mafia.
Okay.
Yes, but when the whole Fegokosa thing started, we all thought, like, okay, let's see what they will do actually, and yes, of course, they were all elderly, but I think we've been able to come to a very good relationship, rapport between us and them, and that's why we're here. Because without that, we wouldn't actually be here. Yes, that's why we're
So,
here.
Mr. President, yeah.
Before, can I say
Yes,
something?
Okay, quickly.
For me, what I would say is, see why I became the big brother that a lot of people needed
Yes.
at some point. Because,
Okay.
like you said, we've actually been very, very active, like all through.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we were there at the first supposed AGM. As it is transpired, and we stood our ground that day, and we said we'd rather boycott this thing than give in to what people were saying. And when CY came, I remember then, I was in England then, when people were saying the whole fight on Facebook and all that. When I met CY, I called, I said, look, this guy is not, what people are saying, no, down at OGs, this is, I think there's a future here. And the key thing is, so people had an open mind, people had a closed mind. They actually saw that CY is a big brother. The people that Kwali, Fedekukosa needed at that time to bridge that gap. Because that even in families, you can have an elder brother that's not a big brother.
Yes.
Yes.
But
definitely.
CY became a big brother, and through that being a big brother, he's been able to bridge that gap. They can see people are now leveraging off what
All
he's
the
done to now connect, and people are not even thinking about it anymore. That the idea, like when you mentioned bridge the gap, like also has to now connect back that there's actually a time that for the question needed a gap.
Yes.
So I mean, it's a good thing that we don't even think about anymore. That it's become like so
It's norm.
seamless.
I think we should be commended about something, just referring to what Grace commented about, which is that you said you were very young and sit down. I appreciate both sides of the issue,
Yes.
and I think the fact that we're all sitting here so says that we don't reason that way.
Yes.
But let's remember that some of us have children who are among us.
Yes.
So there's no how her daughter or my son would be there, and then we are now mates because we're in AGM. And you have to just remember as well that that's why it's careful. All of us had a lot of seniority in school. Remember how it was. 1 year you're senior, you lie down under his bed for 5 hours.
Yeah.
So when people now come out, you have to understand the views of both people, because sometimes the young ones come, they have the energy, they don't have the experience. They come and say, oh, we should do this, we should do this, we should do the best. Cyprian said, the person is saying these things 18 years ago, 12 years ago, we had meetings where this was addressed, and like they don't know. So much as we understand that people are matured individuals now, we also remember why there are some old-fashioned people, and we accommodate everybody, because the truth is, once you are respectful, there will be no problem about who is older, who is younger. It's when a person is disrespectful, that's when they remind you that they are not your mates. Yeah. So having said that, President,
I think to summarize, let me just classify it into 3 different parts, and it will make everything clear. So I campaign on bridging the gap. It hasn't changed. It still will not change. And it will not change because the first stage was a stage where the seniors were the seniors and the juniors were the juniors. So at the first AGM and the first election that we ever had in the association, that was the problem we had. I identified the problem right there, that we still had a lot of people that came in and said we're seniors. And so we all sat down from K89, 90, 91, every other person just take your position there. It was very obvious at that AGM. And everybody was, because it was the first time we were meeting. And we're all still coming back for Kwali way of thinking. I'm your senior, you're my junior. And we're getting to know each other for the first time. I never met 2004 set. I'm getting to know them for the first time. I saw this large group of people and I wondered who they were. Sure. And so we obviously had that problem. That's the past. Then the second stage was when I campaigned and I came in as president. I said I was going to stop all that. And I said, look, I need to bridge the gap. I need people to understand that you still will see your senior and give him the respect. That's just normal. It's just a natural thing to do. But then you now know that you're both in a position where you're trying to make things work. So I needed people to come to meetings or functions or to work together without saying, what set are you? If you're trying to identify the set, you're just trying to see of what relevance or importance they can play at this particular point in time. There's what I'll tax 89 set, I will not tax a younger set. But yet, I still didn't want people to work on the basis of set issues. So bridging the gap for me was in your chapters. Somebody from another set can even become the president from a younger set. I really don't care. So in your set, you're able to make people understand that, look, we can interact with older set, junior set. It should not make any difference. We're all Kwali. What is the future? The future is the biggest problem. But we will get there. Why I say it's the biggest problem is because we keep talking about who will Cyprian hand over to. Whoever I hand over to, who will that person hand over to? What is the future of this association? whether we like it or not, there will come a time when somebody from a particular set will become the president of this association, and he will have seniors above him, he will have juniors below him. I'm trying to work, and I've told my NEC members that, look, why we need to continue to bridge the gap till we get there is that a lot of people might say they're relating to me or they're responding to me because I was their senior, because I'm K90 set. I want to hear less and less of that. I want people to say, oh, it's your character, it's your person, it's how you relate with us, so that whoever is coming in will also have the same character and mindset. That don't worry if you're 2004 set, don't worry if you're even 2000 set. When we bridge the gap in the future, it means that even if we get a president from 2004 set, but he knows how to relate with people of the older set, he can still go to an AGM and still stand and still talk to people of the older set, and they will still listen to him. A lot of people ask me why. And Joseph, let me round up by saying this. People don't learn, and we need to learn. I go to social meetings to meet with other presidents of older associations. I attend other association, alumni association of Unity School. I attend the AGM to find out how somebody from a younger set can stand as the president of the AGM and talk to fathers and grandfathers, and they all sit down and listen to him. I go to SOSA meetings to watch how the former president, Professor Chidi Odinkalu, or the current president, Lawrence, is able to stand and talk to people that are his fathers or grandfathers at an USOSA function, and everybody is listening to him. What has happened? It means over time, the alumni, they bridge the gap completely in that alumni. Over time, USOSA bridge the gap in that alumni, which means that is the future of FGC Kwali.
Well, to round up on this, we're out of time, is that the underlying emphasis you've made is that we have to build the system.
Yes.
We all know practically now that if it's work in progress. Everything we do counts.
Yes.
If suddenly today we were to have a younger person in charge, he may not have the influence.
Yes.
Many people will just ignore him. We know that's inside, and he may split the association. But if we keep on doing what we're doing now, tangibly marked with systems, with projects, with participation, it will outgrow this notion.
That's correct.
And we'll have the proper balance. Having said that, I think we have come to the end of the program. What we want to say here is that this conversation has not ended. As we all know here, each of these issues may itself be a whole day's conversation.
Ongoing.
So what we need is for you people, our members, to understand that we need your involvement. The least you can do is just pay attention. We will be communicating from the NEC and from the different chapter levels and so on. We need you to pay attention. We need you to ask questions. We need you to be engaged. What we are looking for to the President and myself and my provost here is to be overwhelmed with participation. Not just come and say, Mr. President, I'm your PRO. Please, I have 500 inquiries. I can't keep up. You know, that would be like that, because that equally means that the school may have 200 million naira worth of infrastructure upgrade within 3 years. It means that our members under the welfare provisions may give 500 jobs to the younger ones who are coming up. It means that we may have 20, 30 mentorship seminars and so on. I mean, I'm sure some of you know we even have very senior citizens. We have House of Rep members here and there and so on. We're all one big family. If you look at the alumni of certain big schools abroad, you hear that, oh, you went to social school. In fact, because of that alone, they put you somewhere. We're trying to work towards that. So this conversation has not ended. There's a lot of ground to cover, but I think a lot has been said here. Let's continue this on Facebook, on WhatsApp, and so on.